Hey guys, welcome to the investor.bet NRL try scorer predictions video for round 26 of the 2024 season. Second last week of the regular season, then we go into finals. But I'm going to keep posting these videos each week because I know you guys really enjoy them. Been having a lot of success with these selections. I'm going to post them right the way through to the grand final. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of them. This week, we have a total of 12 selections that I'm going to go through. Pretty much 2 plays in majority of games, and then a couple of plays in just single plays in 2 of the games. So I'm going to run through each one of those, go through why I think that player is going to score a try using the bet finder tools, which you can see here, then matching it up with the player's form overall this season and against the opposition. Now, these tables that we're looking at here, let's just focus on the Melbourne Storm. Every single position on the field. This is where that team, for example, the Melbourne Storm, rank in tries scored. So they rank 4th in tries to the fullback, 12th in the right wing, 3rd in the right center in terms of the overall league. So what we're looking for is green numbers here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. in each position. And we're looking to match that up with a red box in the right-hand side because this side is where the opponent, in this case the Cowboys, concede their tries. So you'll notice on the right edge for the Cowboys is where they struggle, conceding the 14th most tries to the right edge, whereas on their left edge, they're much better defensively. And then, for example, the front row, the Storm score the second most tries, and the Cowboys concede the second most, there being 17 teams in the competition. So that's how we're using these tools, which you can access through the link in the description. Last week in round 25, I'll just quickly recap. We hit 7 of the 13 selections in the Tigers-Seagulls game, which Manly lost to the big favorites. We had Tom Trbojevic and Jason Saab to score a try, which they both did. We also took a shot with Cherry Evans at $3.60, mainly due to his record in previous games against the Tigers, but he wasn't able to get across for a try. Then in the Bulldogs-Warriors game, we had 2 Bulldogs players in Josh Adokar and Bronson Xerri. Both of them to score a try. We had Bronson Xerri at $2.85. Later on that night, we had Broncos and Eels, where we had Selwyn Cobbo to score, which he was able to cross for the Broncos. And we took Sean Russell for the Eels. And I made a last-minute change in that game to switch Sivo to Russell, which ultimately was the wrong way to go with Sivo crossing for a try. So we only hit 1 of the 2 plays in the Broncos-Eels game. We took a shot at 2 outsiders in the Panthers game in Isaac Targo and Casey McLean. Both of those missed. Also in the Storm-Dolphins game, even though the Storm ran up a score, Pappenhausen wasn't able to cross, and Jack Bostock couldn't cross for the Dolphins. They only scored the 1 try. And then on Sunday, we hit both plays in the Titans-Roosters game in Cam Pereira scoring a hat-trick for the Titans and James Tedesco scoring for the Roosters, both of them at close to even money. And then our selection in the Dragons-Sharks game, Mulatalo was a late out for the Sharks. Now, looking ahead to this weekend's game, I'll put all the results in the description as well, just for you guys as reference. But looking ahead to this weekend's games, firstly, Thursday night, the Cowboys against the Storm. Now, Cowboys are big favorites for this game with the Storm resting a number of key players. Cowboys are $1.25, the 12.5-point favorites, so should be winning this game. Now, there's 2 plays that I want to take here, and they're both for the Cowboys. I'm going to stay away from the Storm for this week. I was close to playing Pappenhausen, but I'm not going to. He doesn't have that great of a record. He's never scored a try against the Cowboys. If he had had a really good record, then I probably would have played him, but not this week. I'm just going to leave him alone. For the Cowboys, right wing, they can score the most tries through that position, and the Storm concede the 7th least tries. So they're about average in this category. Not that great, but I think it sets up well for the Cowboys' leading try scorer in Kyle Felt. So far this season, he has scored 18 tries. He scored a total of 7 tries across his past 4 games and scoring a try in 62% of matches this season. He's also scored a try in 7 of his past 8 starts as well. So consistently crossing. And then against the Melbourne Storm, he has scored a try in 4 of his past 5 games against them. So has a really good record against them. And so he's going to be the first play. on Bet365 is paying $1.57 to score a try at any time. The next selection for this game, come back over here. I really want to target the wingers for the Cowboys. You can see here the Storm don't give up tries to front row, second row, interchange, or half. So it's out wide where they can see the tries. They're ranked 12th in the league in tries scored to opponent wingers. And this is where the Cowboys do majority of their best work. So I'm also going to play the opposite wing for the Cowboys, which is Murray Talagi. If we look at his record overall this season, he has scored 7 tries, scored a try in 36% of games, did score a hat-trick back in round 22, and has scored 3 tries across his past 2 games against the Melbourne Storm, scoring a double in their last matchup, which they won 45-20, and has scored in 3 of his 4 games against Melbourne. So hasn't been like crossing line every single game or anything this season. However, does have a good record against the Storm, and this situation does set up well with the Storm making changes to the lineup. I think they're not going to be at their best this week. So those are the 2 plays. On Neds or Ladbrokes for Murray Talagi, score is $1.78. So he's going to be the other play in this game. And they are the company, as I went through, who had the best possible odds. We're comparing Sportsbet 365, PointsBet, Neds, Ladbrokes, and TAB. So those are the 2 plays in that game. There are potentially a couple of other options. However, I'm just going to go with the 2 plays. Then into the Bulldogs Sea Eagles game. Firstly, for the Bulldogs, there is one position I do want to target, and that is at left center for the Bulldogs. They scored the 2nd most tries through this position, and the Seagulls can see the 10th most tries through the opponent left center. Playing left center for the Bulldogs is Bronson Xerri. This week also, Stephen Crichton out for the Bulldogs. I think they're going to have to push a lot of their attack to the left edge instead, and that sets up well for Bronson Xerri to score a try. Overall, this season, if we bring up his record, we're going way too far down there. So Bronson Xerri here has scored a try in 5 of his past 6 games, 10 tries overall in the season, and try in 53% of matches this season. He's had 2 games against the Seagulls and scored a try in both of them. And for him to score a try in this game on Bet365 is paying $2.65 currently as I record this. It was in my notes here paying $3.10 about half an hour or so ago. Bit of an odds movement there with Xerri, but at $3.10 it was well and truly overs. 365 brought it back a bit more to the market range price. Now, the other play that I like in this game, and this one kind of goes against my normal logic for choosing plays. Like I really like to find situations where we've got a top position here, the regular player is playing that position, and we've got a poor defensive position for the opponent, especially if they have a reserve player filling in that position as well. Then that's like the standard ideal bet. However, this play doesn't fit that criteria at all. And the situation I'm talking about is at fullback for the Sea Eagles. Manly scored the most tries through this position. However, Bulldogs concede the least tries through that position. So it's not an ideal situation from that perspective, but obviously Tom Trbojevic plays fullback for Manly, and he has scored a try in 5 of his past 6 games, coming up a hat-trick last week, scored a try in 65% of games this season. And watching Manly play does feel like, this time of year, Trbojevic just really kind of trying to take things into his own hands. When they are down against the Tigers, he was way more involved in the game, way more pushing for more opportunities. And, whenever someone makes a line break, he's the first player there looking for the offload to beat the fullback. And I think he's just going to get another opportunity to score here. And I was looking for anything over even money for him to score a try. And on Bet365, they're paying $2.20 for Trbojevic to score. Also, the other thing that I really, really liked against the Bulldogs, he scored a try in all of his past 5 games against them and has a total of 10 tries across the past 5 games against them. He's not only, in really good form, being heavily involved, but also has a great record against the Bulldogs. So the only, real issue with this play is the Bulldogs don't concede tries to this position, but, if any player is to break that trend, Trbojevic is probably going to be the one. And obviously, you can also add to that he's probably keen to make a statement after, being in all the media this week after asking for a pay cut, etc., etc. Later game on Friday night, the Panthers take on the Rabbitohs. This game likely to be a blowout for the Panthers. They're on back-to-back losses. They face a Rabbitohs side that's definitely looking towards the end of the season. They made their little run, and then that's come to an end, and their attack's just not gelling at all. Panthers, need to win games now to make sure they lock in that top 4 spot, especially if the Bulldogs beat Manly earlier, which they are favorites to do so. Whether they do or not, I talked more about that in the round preview, which is the previous video on my channel here. But anyway, looking at the try scorers for this game, we have 2 of them, and they're pretty straightforward ones. Like not getting too technical here. Penrith will win this game, win it comfortably due to the situation that they're in. And I want to target the wings here. You'll notice that the Rabbitohs ranked 15th in defending the right wing and 15th in defending the left wing. That puts them 15th overall, and the Panthers ranked 7th in tries to the wing. They get Truva back in the side, and I think that just sets it up well for them to rack up some tries out wide. Just week after week, the Rabbitohs concede tries to the opponent wingers. And we're not getting a ton of value for these selections, but both these players cross for tries all the time. Truva overall this season scores the try in 44% of games and consistently, has hit a double throughout the season. And against the Rabbitohs, he scored in the last game against them. And then the other selection is Brian Toho, also to score a try. He scored a try in 2 of his past 4 against the Rabbitohs, and hasn't been in that great a form recently. Overall this season, scoring a try in 37% of games. But I think the way this game just sets up against this opposition is just perfect for both of these players to score. I also looked at either of them to score 2+ tries, so you get 2 from one and none from the other, etc. I'm happy to play them both individually. On Bet365, Toho's paying $1.55 to score, and Truva paying $1.65. So those are going to be the 2 plays for that matchup. I think it sets up really, really well for both of them to cross out wide. So that's the plan for the Panthers Rabbitohs game. Then we have on Saturday the Eels versus Dragons. There are a few ways we could go in this game as well. I'm going for 1 play from each side. And firstly, for the Parramatta Eels, looking towards the right wing. They're ranked 3rd in the league through this position. They have the number 2 best right edge. Their left edge is really, really poor. Dragons aren't bad at defending this side. They're fairly even across the both, but I think this is where the Eels are going to target. Playing right wing is Maiko Sivo for the Eels. If we look at his record overall this season, returned a couple of weeks ago, crossed for a try last week, has scored in 70% of matches overall this season. And if we go back through, was very consistent in the games. Obviously misses a lot of matches this year, but when he plays, crosses very consistently for a try. Has scored 3 tries across his past 4 games against the Dragons as well. And on PointsBet, he's paying $1.67 to score a try in this weekend's game. I think he's the Eels' best chance of crossing for a try. Looking through, the other player that did stand out a little bit is Blaze Talagai to cross for a try, but he's only paying around even money, and I don't want to have 2 selections on the Eels in what is a really important game for the Dragons. Now, if we come back over to the Dragons, now, obviously, there's a lot of ways you could go here. The Eels are the 2nd worst right edge defense and the worst left edge defense. So we need to look at where the Dragons do score their tries. Now, their left edge is pretty bad as well. But through the right wing is where they score the majority of their tries. Now, playing right wing is Zach Lomax. He scored 13 tries overall this season, scored a try in 2 of his past 3 games. And against the Eels, he doesn't have a great record. However, this is such an important game for the Dragons to win that they're going to have to, go with where their best players are. I think the majority of their kicks are going to be going towards the right wing, and the majority of their attack is going to be going that way. The Eels, similar to the Rabbitohs, just concede tries around the outside game after game. And, instead of trying to get kind of technical, I just want to look to take advantage of that fact. So Lomax is going to be the selection there for the Dragons. And on TAB, he's paying $1.60 to score a try. If we scroll down here, just for the reference, so Lomax $1.60 to score a try. Now, those are going to be the two plays there for the Eels, Dragons. Next game, Dolphins versus Broncos. We've got two plays again in this game, and you kind of probably notice a bit of a trend this week. I'm keeping it, a similar strategy, but it does depend on, the different situations for sides, which players are in form, which players aren't, and, where I think those teams need to go in order to win each of the games. And obviously this one is another really important game between the Dolphins and Broncos, especially if Dragons lose earlier. That makes this even more important. For the Dolphins, first of all, their left edge is slightly better than their right edge. However, defensively, the Broncos are top 3 left edge defense, but are the worst right edge defense in the league. And with better coaching, their team's going to be aware of it, and Dolphins are going to have to push all their attack towards the right edge. Playing right wing for the Dolphins is Jermaine Asako. He scored a try in his last game against the Broncos and has scored 2 tries across his past 4 games. I'll bring up the record here. So 2 tries across his past 4 and a try in 36% of games this season. And in a really important game for his side, this is the way I think the Dolphins are going to find some points. They were really bad last week against the Melbourne Storm, but this is an important game at Suncorp against the Broncos, going with Sarko to score. Over on PointsBet, Jermaine Sarko is paying $2.35 to score a try for the Dolphins. He's going to be the first play in this game and the only play for the Dolphins. And over on the Broncos side, looking at their attack, they are the worst left edge attack and a top 5 right edge attack. So their, attacking prowess needs to go towards that right side, which is conveniently where the Dolphins are worst defensively. They're ranked 11th overall compared to 7th overall on the left edge. Playing on the right wing is Selwyn Cobbo. Again, this week for the Broncos, he crossed last week against the Eels and has scored 6 tries in 3 games against the Redcliffe Dolphins. So has performed really well in all 3 games against them. On PointsBet, he's paying $1.70 to score a try. And, I feel like both of these situations for the 2 players in this game set up perfectly. You've got good defense on one side, bad defense on the other. With these team strategies, they need to push their attack that way. For the Dolphins, the other situations you can look at are the interchange players. Dolphins are ranked 2nd in the league, and Broncos concede the most tries to the bench players for the opposition. And also for the Broncos, you could also look at the halves and front row, but they're just slightly lower percentage plays that I'm just going to avoid this week. Sharks versus the Warriors, the late game on Saturday. Sharks big favorites to be winning this game. I only have one play in this matchup, and it is on the Sharks side of things. Key positions that you want to target here are the wingers for the Sharks. That's where they score the majority of their tries. They're ranked 3rd in the league, and the Warriors ranked 11th in the league defensively. These other positions, halves, front row, second row, interchange, Warriors defend those and don't concede tries to those positions all that often, but out wide is where the tries are scored. They also concede tries to the fullback, whoever Sharks. Will Kennedy hasn't been scoring the tries this season that he was last year. Did get over the line last week with a good try from a kick, but just in general has been fairly inconsistent. And against the Warriors, he hasn't scored in his past 2 games. Now, looking at the wingers, Sione Katoa playing on the right wing for the Sharks this week. Is a good matchup for him, but I don't want to play both wingers for the Sharks. And I feel like, and kind of the numbers also suggest this, the Warriors' left edge defense is slightly worse, and the Sharks can capitalize on that. Sam Stonestreet has scored 2 tries in his past 2 games this season, has scored a try in every single game that he's played, which there have been 4 of them. But since filling in with Katoa and Mulatalo missing games over the past few weeks, has scored 5 tries and gets a really good situation here against the Warriors. Like, you could play Katoa and Stonestreet in this game, but I'm just going to keep it to the one selection, and that is on the left wing. Now, on Bet365, he's paying $1.62 to score a try. I'd prefer a slightly better price, like to the $1.70 mark. I'd be a little bit more comfortable with, but there's not a great deal between it. Wouldn't take much under the $1.60 though, at all. That's pretty much the cutoff. but has been very, very consistent in all the games that he's played, showing the Sharks can run their attack to the side of the field he's on, and he can complete the job and score a try. Pella has scored 4 tries in his past 4 against the Warriors, but hasn't scored in the past 2. He did get a hat trick in the game against them a few years ago in a big win for the Sharks. But yeah, Stone Street is the player that I want to go with in the Sharks-Warriors game. On the Warriors side of things, there's really no good situations where the Sharks are worse defensively. At left center, that is where the Warriors attack is the worst in the league, or scoring tries through that position, I should say, is worst in the league. So hardly an ideal situation for them. Also, where they are good, the Sharks are also good and pretty good defensively. Obviously, potentially a front rower might bust through, like Fanua Blake or something, might bust through for a try. So it's something you could look at, but it's another low percentage plan. We already capitalized on that a number of weeks ago. We have 4 plays left to go. So in the Knights Titans game, so we're going to 4 plays on Sunday. This is the early game for the Knights. Now, I looked at Kalen Ponga as a potential try scorer in this game, as he does have a really good record against the Titans when it comes to scoring tries. He's scored a try in the past 3 games against Gold Coast, and Gold Coast can see the most tries to opponent fullbacks. So it's a really good situation for him. However, this season, he's only scored the 1 try. Let me spot his name. Here we go. So only the 1 try, which was in round 5 this season. Now, in fairness, he did miss the majority of the mid part of the season, but only scoring a try in 8% of his games overall this season. So it's such a low percentage play that I'm not going to go with it. It was the one I looked most closely at for the Knights, just due to the fact that Titans wide defense, even though they, Roosters racked up a score against them overall this season, their edge defense has been pretty good, and would be relying, like if we kind of had to look for another spot on the forwards for Newcastle to score. However, it's not good situations for them there either. So I'm not going to have any play on the Knights, but I'm going to have a play on the Titans here. Gold Coast, it's just kind of the similar pattern week after week after week. They score all their tries through the left wing. Alefiana Khan-Pereira has scored 23 tries this season. Across his last 7 games, has scored 9 tries. It did highlight when we spoke about round 23 and 24. They were tough matchups for him, and you didn't want to get involved in those games. But last week, it was a good matchup for him against the Roosters, and he came through with 3 tries. Has scored in 68% of games overall this season, and he is paying $1.70 to score a try against the Knights. Bring up the game here and scroll down to come for $1.70 to score a try. And like with all these try scorers, you want to make sure you shop around. Like this one's with TAB, and you want to use a multiple of bookies and not just always go with Sportsbet, or just always go with whichever company you have an account with, or that's have easiest access to because you already have money in. Shop around, get the best price. Don't take $1.50 for a player where you can get $1.70 elsewhere. Doing that is just going to make it harder for you guys to win over the long term. If you always aim to get the best price, then you can afford to have more losing bets but make more money than if you're constantly taking unders when there's better prices available. So that's going to be the one play there in the Titans-Knights game. And then we have 3 plays in the Roosters-Raiders game. They're all going to be on the Roosters side. Now, firstly, I quickly want to talk about the staking. So this is something I repeat every week, but I'll just quickly repeat it now, is you want to back every selection to win 1.5 units. So that means depending on the odds, if it's at longer odds, you want to put a lower stake on it. If it's at shorter odds, then you'll have a higher stake on it, always to win 1.5 units. So firstly, all the plays to this point forward are to win 1.5 units. The first play I'll go through in this game is also to win 1.5 units. And then the last 2, you want to bet at a half stake because they're slightly lower confidence plays. For the Roosters, there are a number of positions that you can go here, and we're going to go with 3 of them. But firstly, on the right wing, Dominic Young has just been crossing the line for tries week after week after week. And, unless we're getting $1.30, $1.40 for him, then I'm going to be looking for a good situation. I think the Roosters win this game comfortably. They're obviously big favorites, paying $1.17 to win outright. They'll probably rack up a score like they've been doing every single week, and expect that he'll likely cross for a try. Overall this season, he scored a total of 19 tries, Has scored a try in 8 of his past 9 games, 78% of games overall in the season, averaging just over a try a game. Scored a hat-trick 2 weeks ago in round 24. And against the Canberra Raiders, has scored 5 tries across his past 4 games against them, scoring in 3 of those matches. Definitely looks likely that he'll cross for a try. On Bet365, he's paying $1.60 to cross for a try, so he's going to be the first play in that game, as I said, to back it to win 1.5 units. Then the other 2 plays I'm going to go with in this game is targeting the centers for the Roosters. So the Roosters score the second most tries through this position, and the Raiders concede the second most tries through opponent centers. So it's a really good situation for this position. And I found it a little bit tricky to decide, with Suolahi out for the Roosters, Jennings comes in. So we have Manu and Jennings in the centers this week. And you want to back both of these players for a half stake. Firstly, with Michael Jennings playing, he has scored a try in 2 of his past 3 starts, hasn't played since round 21, has scored a try in 3 of his past 5 against the Raiders. So he does have a good overall record. And on Bet365, for him to score a try, he is paying $3.25. So half stake that to win 0.75 of a unit. And the other selection, Joseph Manu to score a try on TAB. I'll bring up the try scorers. For him to score is paying $2.15. So slightly shorter. Manu hasn't scored for a number of games now. So when we look at his overall record, so just here, he hasn't scored in his past 7 games. Earlier in the season was crossing for a try almost every single week, but since then it has dried up, still at 39% overall in the season. However, against Canberra, he has scored 4 tries across his past 2 in each of those, and scored a total of 7 tries across the past 5, scoring a try in 4 of those 5 games. So definitely like him to score a try, but just because he hasn't scored for such a long time, just going to half stake that one as well. So that's going to be the final selection for the games this week. Now, I'll go through and recap all the selections just so you guys have that full list of all the players. Cowboys versus Storm. We're going Cowboys Kyle Felt on Bet365. Then Maritolagi at $1.78 on Neds. For the Bulldogs, Bronson Sherry, 310 on Bet365. That's actually coming to 265. So I'll just update that in my numbers here. And then the other play for the Manly Seagulls, Tom Trbojevic to score a try at 220 on Bet365. For the Panthers Rabbitohs game, we're going the Panthers 2 wingers, Brian Toho and Taruva to score a try to both on Bet365. Eels versus Dragons, we're going Mike Sivo to score a try on PointsBet for the Eels, and Zach Lomax to score a try on TAB for the Dragons. Dolphins versus Broncos, Jermaine Sarko, $2.35 on Neds, all Ladbrokes. And then for the Broncos, Selwyn Cobbo at $1.70 on TAB. For the Sharks Warriors game, we're going Sam Stonestreet on Bet365 to score a try at $1.62. Knights versus Titans. I'm going to leave out Ponga, even though he has that good record and a bad Titans defense against fullbacks. We're going with Cam Pereira at $1.70 at TAB. And for the Roosters Raiders game, Dominic Young, $1.60 Bet365. And then half staking, Michael Jennings at $3.25 at Bet365. And Joseph Manu, $2.15 on TAB. Those are all the selections for the games this weekend. If you're following along, good luck. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the footy. A couple of weeks ago, then we're into finals. With these selections, if you've been following along, make sure you continue to stick to the staking that you have been doing. Try not to chop and change it every single week. Be consistent with your staking. Like, that's one thing that, a lot of people could do to increase their profits. Just be consistent with their staking, as it stops you from having these a lot of variance right throughout. Since we've been posting these back in round 19, I think we started. We only had 1 week where we were down if you followed the staking across all the selections. So that's, 6 out of those 7 weeks have been profitable, which hence the reason why I recommend that you guys follow it that way. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any other videos. If you want to use the bet binders, I'll put the link in the description so you can use them to research the games and the player props for yourself as well. Talk to you guys soon.